Mining and processing minerals can use large amounts of water, but water reserves are limited. They get shared between the communities, other industries, and ecosystems that depend on them. If your company uses water, you're expected to make sure that your water use doesn't restrict access for others. Access to sufficient and safe water is now recognized as a human right. To meet these expectations, companies need to understand the impacts of their water use and the potential risks. The RMI's Risk Readiness Assessment can show you how you measure up. There are three aspects to consider: impact and risk assessments, stakeholder engagement, and water management programs. Water issues matter globally, but they're particular to the specific local area. Even across short distances, the water situation may be completely different. You would expect dry locations to have water management concerns, but even areas with abundant fresh water may face competing use pressures or contamination. That's why companies need to conduct water use impact assessments and water use risk assessments. The impact assessment allows you to understand how much water is available, what's the total demand from downstream communities, industry, and ecosystems, and how much do you consume. Find out how much usable water is currently available on the surface and in groundwater, and how much it changes each year, the amount of water and its quality. Identify the ecosystems that depend on that water source. Water rights give legal ownership of an amount of water to a community or company. This can create a hard limit on how much all users of that water source can take. What happens if a company hits that limit? For example, suppose a mine wants to expand their operations. To do so, you'd need to use more water. But your company is already using all the water that you have the right to use. If you want to go ahead with the expansion, you'd have to find a way to use water more efficiently, or purify wastewater to reuse the water. Next, assess the total water demand from ecosystems and other users. How much is currently used? How is it changing? Find out who else depends on your water source: downstream communities, agriculture, and other industries. You should know how much they need and what they use it for. Conduct a baseline water use assessment of your own water consumption. How much water do you use? You also need to understand how it's being used. That indicates the level of water quality you need. Once you gather this information, use it to understand how your consumption impacts everyone else: the water rights holders, all water users, and the environment. Document these results. Update the assessment regularly. Anytime there's a change to the facility or in the community that may affect water, you'll need to reassess. The impact assessment should show you how to respond to these changes. Through your impact assessment, you understand baseline water availability and quality, demand, and your own use. Now, use this information to look into the future to assess the risks to your freshwater supply and the risks your use poses to others. Risks to water sources come from different directions: legal water rights, increasing community needs, growth in regional industry, changes in rainfall, mining and processing operations themselves, contamination of water sources, and downstream water uses. Stakeholder engagement helps you understand the setting so you can identify risks and develop solutions. For instance, a mine could form or join a water users committee. One example is the Cerro Verde mine in Peru. Being on the committee gave them a way to talk face-to-face with local stakeholders: farmers, water utility company, water authority, and social groups. By engaging with them, they could better understand the challenges and work towards solutions. Use the knowledge from your impact and risk assessments and stakeholder engagement to develop water management programs. From your baseline consumption, set targets for reducing consumption or making better use of the water available. Review the targets each year to drive continuous improvement. Then establish programs to achieve your targets by managing water use and treating wastewater for reuse. There are many ways mines can manage water use impacts. To be sustainable, mining companies must find ways to balance their water needs with those of water rights holders and water-related ecosystems. Impact and risk assessments and stakeholder engagement enable you to create effective water management programs.